Okay, so the last time we did this, I was demonstrating how to get a 3-light portrait using just one speed light. And we're going to do it again, but the last time we did it, we had an overcast sky and it was very forgiving. Now we have no clouds whatsoever in the sky, but I did a smart thing and I waited until almost dusk. As you can see, the sun is just about ready to hit those trees over there. I probably have a half-hour shooting time left. We call this sometimes the golden hour. It's the more forgiving light. Now, we're surrounded by trees, so I don't get real golden hour light right now. I'm just at the mercy of how close the sun gets to those trees. So I've got my one speed light. This is a Canon 580 EX2. You could use a Canon 430, you could use a Nikon. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a Quantum. But for this, we're going to use wireless, but we're going to go on the cheap. This is low budget 3-light portraiture, as probably almost as low as your budget can go. You can get these 580s on the market pretty cheap on eBay, get them used. Everybody's switching over to the ones with the radios in them. This one uses just the near infrared Canon system. Nikon calls it a CLS, but whatever the case, we're depending on line of sight for this, and when I turn it on, we're going to see, you may not see it, we're going to see a red light flash and tells me it's ready. I've got it set up as a slave, and the master is going to be on my camera, and it's going to be my pop-up flash. So the pop-up has to be able to see that. Now, a lot of people think that in sunlight it can't see it because the sun's too bright, but it can. You just have to know your limitations and work around that. Obviously, the radio systems are better, but if you can't afford a radio, or if, like me, all you had in your bag was this flash and this camera, then you could use it wirelessly. So I've got a pretty inexpensive umbrella here. We're going to use this for diffusion. Notice the mount that I'm using. This is the Bowens S mount. We really like these. I was skeptical at first, but I'm sold on them now because it nestles that flash in there and it'll hold it pretty well. There's a little clamp here. And the good thing about this is if your stand falls over or anything, it's a little more protective than the old cold shoe flash holders. This stand, I really like it. It's a photodiac stand. You can get them for about 20 bucks on Amazon right now. And it goes about 8 feet. So all we do, we pop the umbrella in there. Now you notice how I've rotated this. That's because I need to be able to see that. We're set to slave. The channel matches the channel that's in my camera. The Canon system likes to call it B. It considers this A. And what I'm doing with this, the pop-up flash is going to be my fill. It's kind of limiting. It can only go so many feet, but it will do some fill for you. So that's where I get my 3 lights. I've got my fill, and it's also working as a master communicator to my slave. The slave is my second light, and my third light is the sun. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put Emily. Emily has returned from our first video. And I'm going to put Emily facing away from the light. She already knew where to be. And that light is going to be her hair light, her backlight. Now my job is to try and sort of overpower that light with what's going to be my main light here. Typically you want to angle it down a little bit. I'll go one more notch here. And you want it above eye level. It depends on the effect you're after. You can start with 45 degrees angle, 45 degree out from your subject, or whatever you want to do. I always like to put my main light opposite my backlight, but you can do it any way you want. There are no set rules on that. So I'm going to take a look at my ambient here and get an exposure and find something I like. So I'm going to do that before I start firing flashes. And I've got my camera on manual, What I'm looking for here is how the background looks behind Emily. It's a little bit dark. I'm going to lighten it up. I'm at 125th, f2.8, ISO 100. So if I want to lighten it up, I'm just going to slow down my shutter a little bit. Sometimes if you really want a nice effect, it's nice to underexpose your background, particularly if you want to keep the sky blue and you want to have some definition with the clouds. But I'm going to focus in on Emily now just to show how the sun can create that rim light. And the important thing here is not to blow out the highlights in her hair. I really don't want to do that. So I've kind of got to back my ambient down to where it won't. And I almost have to be at 1/25th. Creates a bit of a dark background, but that way you'll be able to see what we're doing here. Set my key light up. And let's see if we can pop that flash even in the sun. And there it is. I've got my key light. Now on the camera I can set up a ratio from the pop-up flash to the main flash, which is the master and the slave, and I can set that ratio up to 2:1, which means my main flash is 2 times more powerful than my fill. I can do 4:1, 8:1, and I can do all of that right here from my camera. And right now I'm at 2:1. I'm going to go up to 4:1. I like to start there. Let's see what we get. And that's pretty nice. I've got a lot of light falling on Emily's right side and a little bit going across her chest. So yes, rotate this way and we'll see what we get. That's nice. My flash power, I've got it set at TTL, by the way, and my flash power is 0 compensation. So I'm not over, I'm not under. Just look down like you did there, Emily. There we go. That's nice. I really like that. I'm going to do go back to 2:1 and see if it fills in the shadows more. Like I said, you're limited to what this can do. Sometimes if you have a long lens and you have a hood on it, it can block this, whatever it contributes. So sometimes you want to take the hood off at the risk of a little bit of flare. And let's do one more. That's really nice. It's a nice soft picture. And the sun that's hitting her hair is just a little bit strong, but I think we can tweak that a little bit in the highlights when we edit in RAW. And if you're not shooting in RAW, you should be, because that really gives you a lot of room for adjustment. Naturally, you want to get it straight out of the camera as good as you can, but that's not always possible. Full length there. It's a little bit hot on Emily, I think, and I can dial it back if I want, which I will. I'm going to dial the flash back 1 stop. And that's nice. I'm going to bump my flash power up again. Move in. I like that. I'm getting dangerously close to the sun now. I'll introduce flare if I get real close to it. And sometimes the flare is good. So I'm going to go up here, get a little bit of flare. So whatever look you want, you can do it with just a speed light, the pop-up flash, assuming your camera has one. A lot of the higher end ones don't, but it is an advantage if you have one. You know you can always use it, and if this is all you have. I also like to do some candids. And you'll notice we're creating a rim right along the edge of her face there that accentuates her features. I like that. And that's it, 3-light portraiture with a single speed light, pop-up flash, and the sun.